Oh my fucking god. What the fuck is happening? Oh my god. Can you guys see that? Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. Oh my god. What are you guys doing?
In this webinar, I will help you breaking through playing final tables. I will teach some very simple concepts and secrets that will help you understanding how final tables really work. This is one of our most recent recordings from a webinar. I highly encourage you to sign up below because as you can see, not only did you miss the opportunity of asking questions live, but also additional gifts that I was giving people that were attending live. So next time, if you want to be part of it and it's entirely for free, then sign up now. I hope you're going to be enjoying it. I also, for you guys watching now, I have a great surprise, something we have been working on for many months. I hope you're going to be enjoying it. And once you know what this is about, let me know in the comments if this is something you really want. And also let me know what is something you're looking for more in the future, especially for that kind of content. I don't want to spoil too much. Let's get right into the action, and I really hope you're going to be enjoying it.
All right, we already broke the record. We already got more people joining in today here. We have max 1,000. I think we're now approaching the 800. So it should be full today. Usually there's still a lot of people coming late, but very happy to see that. I mean, getting almost 1,000 people into the webinar. I am very proud of that. So appreciate it. And I will do my best to pay back with good value. So welcome everyone. I already see some questions flying in. Keep them in mind. I would like to start the webinar first, and then at the end or in between during the content, of course, you can ask questions. Yes, chat is disabled. Again, you're not supposed to focus on the chat. You're supposed to focus on the content. This is not Twitch here. This is not some entertainment. You should take it serious. We have spent months on preparing this webinar. I already started working on this in January. And a lot of the things that you see here, I've been working on many other sports, running them, writing it down until I realized it's not so valuable. So the end product that you see here that you get to learn today, it would cost you months of your own work to get there. All right, especially if you're not so experienced, especially when you're not so versatile with some of these tools. So I hope you can see the webinar. It's going to be not only PowerPoint, yes, and then let's get started. Today, it's going to be the most valuable webinar I've ever done. I promise you that. And I also promise you that I will show you very simple ways on crushing final tables and making good adjustments and understanding some basic principles of ICM without doing all the hard work of learning ICM from the ground up. Yes, you need some basic understanding. You probably need an idea what ICM actually means, but you don't need to run countless solves to get to that point where it will bring you today to explain some basic concepts based on examples that I've been preparing for you. And a lot of this I have learned from experience and theory, and not just theory only. Experience is very important, as you guys know. So if you have support questions, all right, because we are close to 1,000 people here. If it's recorded, if it's this, if it's that, use the Discord, use the support channel. We will send out information. I don't have all of the answer, right? We're going to be rewarding here people joining and being live. This is where my effort and focus goes into. I'm pretty sure there's going to be recording, but at the end, I will have also a surprise for you. So in 30 minutes, we're going to have more than 30 minutes. Obviously, I plan to run this webinar for around 90 minutes. I will 10 times your ICM understanding. Leave now, but don't complain when you can't win or make consistent winnings. No, bad news, it's not you running bad. It has not been your fault maybe until today, because I know there's a lot of bullshit out there. But if you don't take action today, such as being present here, then it'll be your fault. And again, we have been putting a lot of work, so turn off distractions. You don't need a chat. There is a question box where you can ask your questions. Focus for once. And I also make a big announcement today. For some, there might be a little bit of sad news. For some, it might be good news. And at the very, very end, I will have the most valuable gift ever. All right. It's going to be mega value gift. And I also have another surprise for the entire poker community. I mean, mostly for the Raise Your Edge community. You've been following us, supporting us. So stay tuned. All right. Are we ready? Again, support questions. Is it going to be added there? Is it going to be recorded? Please use the Discord. Let's keep the chat. The chat is offline, but there's a question box where I see all of your questions. In the last few minutes, there have been 70 questions, all right? And 65 were support related. So that would help me a lot because obviously I want to keep an eye on all of the questions coming in. You will get more information about the recording and not, and we're going to send that out via email or message you in Discord. So just keep your eyes open. So what I would promise you, that will show you how to adjust to different stack sizes on a final table. You will see the spot and you have an idea what you need to do. And this works for low, mid, and high stakes, live and online, full-time and part grinder, cash game players transitioning to tournaments, or just some fun players that have the goal to lose less, right? If you're a fun player, you're usually losing, but losing less is obviously more fun, right? And I do understand that. Usually, I hate to give permission to have failed in the past, but when you have access to really bad information, well, it's hard because you don't have the experience, you don't have the knowledge to identify what is actually good content and what is bad content, right? So you grind your way through the endless amount of content available. So partially, it might have not been your fault. All right, especially when you have been putting in a ton of effort, and then also leads often to losing confidence, and then you start making random decisions, and you just randomly copy paste some river strategies. And today we're going to change that, and that will help you to get better at poker. All right, I have less than basic understanding of ICM. Would I be fine in this session? Yes, you will. Imagine, okay, let's do an experiment. All right, to help you understand what the fuck is actually going on with so many of you when it comes to playing poker. So I want you to imagine you don't know how to count and you lack the very basics of math, all right? And now what you do is you take your calculator, right? You can also just take a random calculator and just type in 49 plus 82. All right, do this for me. Type it in 49 plus 82. And then you get a number, all right? Now, put the calculator aside and now visualize, imagine you don't really know how to add. You don't know how to multiply, to divide, or to subtract. None of it. So all you're doing is just every time putting in the numbers. Do you see how much effort that is? And what ends up happening at the poker table? You would randomly guess and you would try to remember, yeah, 49 plus 82. Okay, now I don't know how to calculate it myself because I don't know the how, I don't know the process, I don't know how the fuck to get there. But last time there was like, I had a 42 plus 73, maybe something similar. Do you see the bullshit? And that's how most of you study these days. And that's how many of you have been taught to learn poker. And that's why many of you can't win, because this is bullshit. And it's time to stop it. This is not how you learn poker. Imagine you're in the class and you have a teacher who just writes down random equations, random numbers, and all the results. And okay, you do this times this, divided by this, it is this. You have no clue what he means. You see the result and you think you've gotten smarter. But you have not, because you don't know how to get there. So imagine the teacher is on mute, he's not explaining anything, and you believe you're making any progress, right? It sounds cool because you sit there, you don't need to put in a lot of effort, right? You see all the results. Do you see what I'm pointing at? This is a lot of the solver studying that a lot of you guys are doing. It's not realistic. You don't understand the why. And then when different spots come up, you have not learned to extrapolate, to see patterns, recognize patterns, and to build habits to know what you're supposed to do approximately every single time, because you've learned what to do in similar spots and you know how to get there. Yes, if you know the why, it is easier to implement. All right. Can I apply ICM on micro and low stakes? Jose is asking. Yes, of course. ICM applies on all different stakes. in fact, on low stakes, mid stakes is as important as on high stakes. It's the same game, all right? And this is something I try to remind you guys over and over again, that, you know, poker is not so much different from fitness, business, health, crypto, nutrition, all these industries. And there's good content, don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot of bad content. And simplicity doesn't really sell well. Why would poker be different? And okay, it might be a bit contradicting because that's what we're trying to teach, right? Keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. How many times have you heard Bencb saying, guys, keep it fucking simple? Probably a million times, right? And I think this is also why we're so successful now for like 7-8 years already, because we just try to keep it real. We just try to help you get good poker players. And you achieve this with simplicity. And simplicity also means that you have to sit down and understand poker and practice. And you need to be consistent and you need to be patient, that there's no shortcut and no magic pill. And with a lot of solvers, it's kind of like a magic pill, but then it makes things very complex because you could technically end up studying and solving spots until you're 90 years old and not really turn into a winning player. And okay, this is an over-exaggeration, right? But at the end of the day, we face real humans and they're doing a lot of mistakes. And making things more complex and giving you access to a vast majority of information is making things a lot more complicated. Now, I'm not saying solvers are bad. You know my opinion. I think there needs to be a balance. It's good to learn the game if you do it the right way. But the problem is a lot of you guys don't know how to do it the right way. I think solvers are very popular, very powerful for high stakes players. But at the end of the day, at the beginning, you need to understand, why do we want to bluff here? Why don't we want to bluff here? How do we get better at value betting, right? How do we adjust ranges? And how do we find all these super important value bets? What you need to understand is, what is your win rate? How do you make money in poker? Your mindset. And I get this feedback a lot. Ben, I'm such a good poker player. I know all the strategies, but then I tilt. And then my bankroll is gone. Is this really a good poker player? No. Because a good poker player is determined by your skill set, aka your knowledge, your mindset, and obviously your ability to execute. And we know how to get there, and I want to show you how to make that happen during the webinar, and we're going to be cutting out a lot of the bullshit. Sounds fair? And we know that works, and I encourage everyone, because I know there are a lot of doubters. I get it, that think poker is about luck, it's rigged, but you see people being successful and winning, not only just with some scores, but join our Discord, check out the success channels, check out the stories. We want to keep it as transparent as possible, and we just collect them from the last couple of weeks and months that people have started crushing like crazy. And it's not just those stories. It's also, there's a really cool story that I wanted to show you, which is this one. And it's not just about, oh, someone won $500,000 there and this huge success story. Obviously, it's good for us. But I find these stories a lot more inspiring. That's because that's where a lot of you guys start, right? Has been losing over 1 or 2 years and then started learning with us, implemented a few concepts and brought it back to break even, right? And that's also success. It's not just always about the super crushers that some of, is almost unattainable. They have been very lucky. But the first goal needs to be, let's bring it back to break even. Let's be realistic. And then from then on, we keep building up on it. Turn you into a slight winning player. That's consistency. And I love to see this, how this guy in 1,400 games and playing micro stakes and low stakes brought it back to break even with one of the scores. And you can clearly see the trend here, right? 4,000, 5,000 games. And I find these stories, like sitting there and grinding the $2.50 tournaments, it's possible. And I see that, oh, micro stakes, low stakes, we can't win because people are doing idiotic plays. No, right? It's time to turn it around. Whatever your mission is. Some of your part-time poker players, they don't have the time to turn full-time pro yet. I get it. Some of you are just fun players, maybe just take away a few concepts here and there and losing less. And some of you, you know what? I want to go fucking pro. Maybe I'm mid stakes. I want to move up to high stakes. All right. Whatever it is. So yeah, I encourage everyone to join our Discord and convince yourself. All right. We're literally just taking these from our comments, the feedback we get, and showing it to you here. So I want to help 3 types of people here today. Those don't fear they make progress and are stuck or losing. And this is many of you, right? You're on a downswing, you're not making any money, and you don't really know what to improve. I get it. I've been there. And it feels devastating. And I want to show you, I want to give you some more input on what you can do. If you aim to move up to high stakes and look for new edges, and I also want to help you saving time. It's a big part of becoming a poker pro that you get to learn what are the things you need to focus on. You can literally spend 10 hours a day studying solvers. If you don't draw the right conclusions, if you don't have the right takeaways, you don't necessarily make progress. I've seen it. I have countless examples from my students. Usually, I would say 8 out of 10 private coaching requests I get, Ben, I'm stuck. I used to win. I'm break even now. I've done so much solver work. I don't know what's going on. And it's because you have been neglecting and abandoning your exploitative game, your 50% ROI game, and now you start doing all these GTO codowns and GTO bluffs that simply don't work in reality. And it costs you money. Tournament poker is different. A lot of the solver stuff is built on chippy V understanding of the game, which is not very applicable for a lot of tournament scenarios. So why is ICM actually so important to understand? A lot of you guys, you ask me, Ben, do I need to any ICM understanding? Yeah, like a very, very basic one. Independent chip model. So it calculates a value of your stack. Imagine you just made it to the money with 1 chip, 1/10 of a big blind or whatever. And the min cash is $100. So obviously your stack is minimum worth $100. Imagine at the beginning, you lose it all in and you have 1 chip left. Your stack is probably not even worth cents, right? So it always measures what is the value of your stack. And sometimes your stack, your 100 chips or 5 chips can be a lot more valuable at a later stage than an earlier stage, right? Because the closer we get to the prize money, the closer we get to the final table, the more valuable your stack becomes. That's the basic principle of that model. And your early game ROI is typically not so high as you think. In the later stages, when people start falling more for their emotions and acting up on their feelings, scared players become even more scared, aggressive opponents punt it off even harder. This is where your real edge is being determined. This is where you're going to have a much higher ROI. And here's what we're going to do today. I mentioned that earlier, we're not going to be looking into some strategies, and we get to that in a minute, but we're also going to be attacking your beliefs. What are some of these beliefs? Oh, I fold because I don't want to look stupid. So you're taking certain actions, knowing that these are not right actions, but they make you more feel comfortable. I don't want to bust. You know exactly that reshoving pocket 3s in the spot is probably profitable, but maybe let's wait for a better hand. I don't want to bust. Stupid, loses your money. Maybe just one more pay jump, right? A lot of it, you look for an acceptable excuse to justify your play so you don't look stupid in front of for yourself and in front of others. I don't want to risk my tournament life with a weak holding. I want to win at all cost. The opposite way. People getting way too aggressive, playing back in spots where it's dumb, defending hands they're not supposed to defend. Why? Well, they want to win at all cost, right? They can't let go. They don't have the ego under control. Or those GTO warriors, right? If I play GTO, I can't be judged. We see this in comments in the chat. Ben, the solver says you should be doing this, and so on and so forth. Typically, it's the same players that approach the game in that way. It's more about how can I find a justifiable reason so I don't look stupid. So we look for excuses to not leave our comfort zone. But all what matters is what is max EV. With this hand, in this very spot, and sometimes in very rare occasions, it means blasting off with 7 deuce off as a bluff on the river. Because it's max EV. And sometimes it's folding aces on the flop. And I will also teach you the principle of the extremes later on. It'll be worth understanding what we actually want to do. I was been really passive on late stages, maybe was doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Yeah, sometimes you do the right decisions, but for the wrong reasons. Exactly. How's break even after 5K games good? Because he was losing and then he started taking it more serious. Like if you go from -20 to -30% ROI to break even, it's improving quite a lot. Imagine you improve your game 10, 20% ROI every 1 or 2,000 games. It's not about break even. What you're doing is you're being results oriented. That's not how it works. It's where we start. Obviously, if he had been a winning player and he's down to break even, that's pretty bad. But if he's a losing player and we bring him to break even, and that's where a lot of you guys start. And this is the kind of blame game and judgment and shame that happens, right? But you need to cut it out. You need to just face the fact, all right, maybe I'm not so good right now. Now, number one goal, let's get it to break even. And then break through and keep winning more and turn into a winning player. All right. And that's a more realistic story where a lot of you guys are in right now, because obviously it's only 5 or 10% are winning long-term in poker. So apparently we do have a lot of losing players. And I want to give you the motivation that in a 1,000 or 2,000 games, you can quickly get back to break even. And those stories, I find them very inspiring. How does tournament poker work in a nutshell? It's very important to understand before we dive into the topic or into the strategies. First half, boring and tight. Grind, wait for good hands, max value, no big bluffs, no big hero calls. Near money bubble, here, emotions harder to control, wrong beliefs, leaks, lack of emotional control will be amplified. So whenever the money gets more important, a tighter player becomes more scared, tight for the wrong reasons. So tight in terms of he's too tight, becomes more scared, more weak, easier to punish. But also the opposite for aggressive players. That's usually where the trigger is easier to get to explode. You know, fuck, I'm gonna blast it off. I'm gonna fob jam now my ace-6 off or whatever, right? And final tables, it's the most extreme. Just watch some YouTube replays. The amount of nitty folds you see, which are crazy, but also tons, that happens to like a big portion on final tables, where the mistakes are more expensive, right? Obviously, there are also a lot of mistakes in the early game, but they're not as expensive as on a final table. That's what you need to understand. So here in that stage, every good exploit we find makes us a lot of money, right? Your river bluffs, your hero calls, even if your opponents are slightly under bluffing or slightly under folding, your big bluffs, if your opponents are slightly over folding on the river, your bluffs are not going to be making that crazy amount of money. But 3-bet folding a lot against someone who's raised folding too much, or reshoving a lot against opponents who are opening way too much, or 4-betting against aggressive 3-betters, like the chips you accumulate translated into money, if you execute it well, that's a lot of money. How do bad players approach the game? And maybe let me know, you recognize yourself a little bit. How do bad players approach the game? First half of the tournament, oh, we got a lot of chips. Let's play as many pots. Let's chase our draws. Potato is probably going to work out, right? And then around the final table or money bubble, you know, it's like getting tight, getting scared, afraid to push all in, still lots of limping and calling, not reshoving. And then they're getting down to 8-9 big blinds. Then they jam ace-king, and then they complain, oh, I always lose the important coin flip. Well, no, sorry to tell you that, but you very likely did so many mistakes that happened to you being down to 8-9 big blinds, being way too passive in this stage, too tight, right? So how do we make real progress? And remember the previous slides with all these weird beliefs that we have. First, identify your bullshit. Is it really, okay, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to, at least a GTO proof player, I'm not going to look stupid. I don't want to bust, just one more pay jump. And then you don't care skipping very plus EV spots, because if it goes wrong, you might look stupid. You call way too tight, you push way too tight. I can promise you, most of you are playing way too tight on a lot of these crucial ICM situations. I've just described you. I know. I mean, I've been there as well. That's how when I started playing poker as well. So identify everything that you know is bullshit. And if you want to do this and take it serious after the webinar, I encourage you to write down and to observe yourself for the next couple of weeks. In what situations do you fuck it up? And what is it that you're telling yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself? And number two, first, you need to take fucking ownership. It's not your opponents, it's not the poker side, it's not your parents, not the governments. It's you, all right? It's just on you. And now the next step is you trigger your triggers. What is it that you triggers? And why? And then differentiate what part is on you. Let me give you a real life example. Very simple. When we had here an event, we had some technical difficulties, and it triggered me. It's like someone fucked up, right? And I don't like that. So some bullshit, and I got angry for no reasons. But it was on me. So I need to chill the fuck out. It's like, all right, well, what's happening right now? Because obviously I don't want to go out to my staff, to my partners and be angry about something. I can't be angry. I need to be professional, right? So what was the trigger? Obviously unprofessionalism. But why? I hate it when people do mistakes, and I hate it on myself, right? So I understand myself better. So which part is on me? Well, to be honest, then I realized, yeah, during the preparation, I knew that there were some issues, but I thought, you know what? They're pros, they're going to figure it out. I could have asked them, I could have encouraged them, hey guys, let's do a test run, let's check it out. But I was kind of lazy. So I was portraying my own shortcomings and my own bullshit on the outside world. So that part was on me. So now that doesn't mean that you should always allow mistakes. Now I come from a different place. I come from a place of abundance. It comes from a place of awareness. So I can still go to them, guys, it's not okay. Next time we need to check. We need to make sure we have everything in place. However, it comes with respect. I'm not angry. I'm not saying mean words. I'm not burning any bridges. And it's the same. You can apply the same. A lot of you guys get angry when your opponent does make a mistake and he gets rewarded. All right. What is the mental blockage? Entitlement. You get entitled for something you're not supposed to get entitled. You're not entitled to the chips. No, you don't deserve it. Luck decides. So first you need to take ownership that this shit is on you. So what triggers you? Your opponent doing a mistake. But why? Well, obviously you hate it when people for mistakes are being rewarded. But there's a part in you that you actually get angry because you know you're not as prepared as you think. And that triggers you. And that part is on you. So it's still your opponent that did a mistake. He did something wrong, but so what? So then, because if you would be perfectly prepared, if you're really crushing, you wouldn't care. Because you would know, and you know that as well, but you can see how much your subconscious is fucking around with your brain, that it needs opponents that do mistakes. And it needs them to be rewarded from time to time. And yeah, and sometimes it's against you, but you wouldn't care if you know, hey man, I'm so much better. I know exactly what I need to do. But you have to admit, and some of you can't, that you're not as good as you think. So you seeing that in your opponent, that he's not good, not prepared, is just a mirror, because you're not either. Otherwise, it wouldn't trigger you. So that identifying this, what part is on you, is the most powerful part, and seeing it in yourself and accepting it, being grateful. And the acceptance is that this is the battles we are probably fighting. Your triggers are different to mine. Everyone has different triggers where we can sense like, oh, wow, I'm getting erected. And that's super important in poker. But you need to identify those mental blockages. And everything we're doing here today, the ICM spots, if you can't execute, remember I mentioned earlier, what does determine your win rate? Knowledge, mindset, and the ability to execute. It will block you to execute. Because every time that happens, that shit up here comes in between. So the problem is you don't understand ICM once you reach that level. So if you understand, the problem is the execution. So otherwise, why would you punt off your stack? Why would you get impatient? Why would you be too tight? Because you don't know better. You don't know how much dollar EV your stack is worth, how ICM impacts your decision. And you know, the thing is that with ICM and the complexity of the game, we have figured out so little. There's so much room for exploits and opportunities. And I find this personally very exciting. If you look, even some high stakes final table replays, there's so many mistakes. We all do still so many mistakes. The best of the best that playing these 5K, 10K online high roller final tables. We're so far away from playing optimal, which is good news. All right, so we get into some action here. Let's understand the art of mid-staking. I have prepared 4 scenarios, and I want to start with 3 scenarios here. I want to look into, it's basically the same scenario, and what we've done here is to change the other stacks. as you can see here, it's exactly the same scenario, right? We're facing an all-in from the small blind, but we have altered the other stack sizes. So as you can see, we have an 8 big blind shorty. We face an all-in. We have a 44 big blind stack. Now we changed this to 22 big blinds, and this guy's 17. So we have 3 mid stacks. And again, here we have no short stack. So again, 1 short stack, 1 big stack, or 2 big stacks, 1 mid stack. Here, 3 mid stacks, 1 short stack, 1 big stack, or 2 big stacks, and 2 mid stacks. So we basically don't have like a real short stack. Now, what we're going to be doing here is analyzing the big blind calling range. So as you can see here, against the 16, I mean, we're 17 big blinds, so he's shoving us 30 big blinds with an 8 big blind shorty. We call it here 6%. Whereas he's shoving 6. Don't worry, I'm going to summarize the numbers. I'm just going through some of these spots. In the next slides, you will get a beautiful overview. In case I'm too quick, don't worry, just to go through these spots real quick with you. Here, with no big stack, we're calling 15%. So in this previous scenario, we call 16% versus a short stack. And we see here a big stack. And here, there's no big stack, and we call 15. But also, he's shoving 74. Now, in this scenario, where we don't have a short stack, we call it almost 19%, but also the small blind is only shoving 44%. So as you can see, even though we're talking about the same effective stack size, how changing some of the other stacks can change. And I will summarize this for you. So when there's no other short stack, which is this scenario here, small blind is supposed to shove 44% versus 66. So in this scenario here, with the 8.5 big blind stack, small blind is shoving 66%. And we call those 16%. So we see that here, just not, even though we're calling for 17 big blinds, we're calling here for 17 big blinds. We call 18.5%. That's very loose. That's very, very loose, right? Even though we're 2 big blinds ahead, a lot of players wouldn't be calling with queen 10 suited or ace 7 off because you think, oh, there's a shorter stack. It's not necessarily about a shorter stack. It's about how much shorter he is. If we spin this further, and this is where we need to make adjustments. And adjustments is not always playing more aggressive, and sometimes it needs to be calling our tournament live with a very loose hand. And this is where a lot of you guys lose money. You might, because folding is 0, right? You don't lose, you don't win 0. But calling would make you, I don't know, depends on the tournament, maybe $5 more, $500, or if you play a high stakes tournament, $1,000 more. So every time you make a fold, you're technically losing money. It's like someone gives you that money, you say no. And if you do this on a long basis, if you miss those profitable spots, because profitable spots lead to long-term winnings, because you also get into losing spots. Happens to all of us. Winning players get in less losing spots, but especially when you struggle, you will have a lot of losing spots. Now imagine you have losing spots and you skip the profitable spots. How are you supposed to win at poker? So small blind is obviously, in this scenario here, supposed to be going all in pretty tight. 44% is quite tight considering he has 30 big blinds, there's a 50 big blind stack. A lot of players would just probably shoving 60, 70, 80%. ICM pressure, right? But it's wrong. It's just plain wrong. So we can see we call 18.5% versus 44% shoving range compared to the scenario when there was a short stack. I mean, the other guy is also shorter than us, but like a significant more of a short stack. we see that here we only call 16%, but small blind is pushing 66, right? So we call close to 17 versus 66. So that's a key takeaway for you. Don't just think in terms of, oh, there's another short stack, I have to be tight. If the other short stack is only 1, 2, 3 big blinds away, your calling range goes up. And your calling range should even go more up, especially that a lot of the big stacks will think the same way. Oh, there's another short stack. This guy has 2 big blinds more, so he has to call super tight. So I'm just going to be shoving ridiculous hands against this player. And now what we have done here as an exploitative scenario, let me just go back to open it. What if in this scenario, small blind goes all in with the same range as with the short stack present? So he would basically push a range if there would be an 8 big blind shorty. Because again, a lot of players just see, oh, he's second in chips or third in chips. There's another shorty. So let's just go bananas against this player. And I will also explain you why and what happens, so it's easier for you to understand. So as you can see, he's shoving 66. And we call 25%. That's insane. Imagine you sit here 17 big blinds and you flick it off with king 9 off. But I think against a lot of opponents, it's a proper calling range. It's a better calling range, and you will make more money in the long term. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build patterns. If A happens, we do B. And if C happens, we do D. And in this scenario, if the short stack is further away from us, we call tighter. If the short stack is closer to us, we call wider. So that's how you start building patterns. And you can also extrapolate this and use it for 9-handed, which we're also going to do. And it's not about the perfect strategy. It's about being somewhat close and understanding, like, why the fuck would we call with king 9 there? And in the other spot, we even fold a7 off. And if we just close, if we're literally just close and have an idea what we're supposed to be, we would be the absolute best final table player in the world. No doubts. Even the best in the world. We have so many leagues on final tables. You have no clue. So what we're doing now here, okay, and that's very important. I want you to focus. Is you can see the scenario on the right side. I hope everyone can see it well. I have the impression that in micro stakes, low stakes, people are tighter and shove less than what they should. Exactly. And if you have this observation, and it's not just based on the feeling, and maybe also some proof, then what you would do, and they're great tools, we have these exploitative scenarios in ICM-Paired, we have it with Hold'em Research Calculator, where you can change the range. That's what I'm doing here, right? So I go ahead, from my experience in all of these spots, people are shoving more aggressively and wider. I have watched hundreds of these YouTube final table replays, and I've played thousands of final tables myself. If you go ahead and then adjust, right? This is the next step. It's like, okay, I think they're shoving tighter, and then see what's the real output is. And it's good that you bring it up. You then still need to adjust this knowledge or use this knowledge to make proper adjustments and against the opponents you're playing. And everyone has to do that. And again, it's not about perfect. If you do that, if you start, because if there's an opponent who hasn't been playing a lot of hands, and he has been tight and scared, and he jams suddenly his 15 big blind stack into you, he's probably just jamming the pocket pairs, some ace-x, broadways, and suited connectors. He's not shoving the 60, 70% he's supposed to shove. He's probably only shoving 30%. And then look what the calling range he's supposed to have. Now, okay, so we did this scenario. As you can see, cutoff and small blind have the same stacks. We have the same stack. All we did here is change the button. So we're in the same situation where we're third in chips, and the only difference is the button has fewer chips. All right, is it clear? Now, so what we want to see, what we'll try to understand, what happens if we decrease the stacks of the other mid stack and big stack? Sorry, it's the button and small. So we reduced button and small blind. So here you can see button has 30, and here he has 17, but still slightly covers us, and also button, right? So we have 3 mid stacks and a short stack. Here we have 2 big stacks, us, the mid stack, and short stack. And as you can see, what happens here in this equity pre, this is basically your equity based on the prize pool, goes up. And that means the ICM pressure goes up because you have more to lose. So here in this top scenario, we see that small blind is shoving 66% and we're supposed to call 16. Now, if we have button and small blind decrease their stacks, now you can shove 73, even though we have the chance to bust it, because you might think, wow, we can bust an immediate other stack. We can make an immediate pay jump. But in fact, we actually call tighter against the loser range because, and this is what I mentioned earlier, this is what ICM does. This is our equity based on the price pool. And this is more valuable. You see 25.29 is higher than here. Yeah, I looked at the stack and there's like, yeah, we changed button and small blind. It was my bad. So again, button, small blind, change the stacks. And you can see here when now, does it make sense for you? If you look at the stacks, that now our stack is so much more valuable, right? And it's a big difference. And if I would have the small blind not recognizing and only shoving 60%, we would probably be calling only 10 or 11%. That's a big change. It's like 1/3 of the range we're supposed to call tighter. So here again, stack is worth less, so we can gamble more. Here, stack is worth more, so we gamble less. Yes, average stack goes down, right? And when we still are mid-stack, when we're relatively smaller average stack size, usually our stack is a lot more valuable. I mean, this is something that is not necessarily very mathematical, but think about it logically. Like here, every single hand, boom, someone can go out. Like the collision likelihood, every single hand when we fold is just so much higher because of these shallower stacks. Here, it's very unlikely that button and small blind collide. But even here, button and small blind can collide. So that's always good for us and usually always resides in us trying to call a little bit tighter than in the other scenario. Does it make sense for you guys? Don't you think you're moving too many variables? Well, I'm moving the variables to help you being prepared in those scenarios to identify when am I supposed to call loose as a mid-stack, when am I supposed to call tight relatively. Obviously, I'm moving a lot of variables, but I'm doing so to help you identify patterns. So like, why do we play certain ranges? And if we do this now, if we would have more time, and let's say we do a boot camp and we do this every day for 45 minutes, an hour, and I have spots for you prepared, you would be an absolute final table beast. We're also going to be doing this for 9-handed. Imagine that we do it for 6-handed, and then we practice with different stacks. In 1 week, you have no fucking clue how much better you get. And changing the variables is so key. It's something I teach in the Tournament Masterclass. Take one spot and change as many variables as possible and find conclusions, find patterns. Why do we want to, in this spot, call so much wider, in this spot so much tighter? What are the reasons? And if you don't know, then ask in the group. Get the answer, boom, keep practicing. Try to find new patterns. And I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So, I mean, honestly, please take the word gamble here with a grain of salt, right? It's just a term. I'm not happy, but I think it will help you to understand it better. The 66 and 73% shoving range from the small blind, is it attempt to steal numbers in the HUD? No, you would look it up all in, but it needs to be very, very specific stat size. I would not rely on a HUD. I would first try to get good at ICM and understand how you're supposed to call it in certain spots. What you need to understand is we all suck at ICM so badly. Don't try to always, okay, I need to find the perfect calling range. Like, what are the stats? No, okay, that's the wrong way because you're going to be burning out. Solid. Right? Even your ICM calling range will be doing a lot of mistakes against certain opponents because then they're shoving wider than ICM. They're shoving tighter, but you don't have access to that information. All right? You got to accept that. But you're still doing better than anyone else. That on top of these, let's say, uninformed decision because you don't have access to those information, are doing mistakes on top of that you're not doing. Like obvious, like not misplaying 10s and jacks in certain spots, knowing when to raise 4-day screen, right? All of these ICM blunders. If you just avoid these ICM blunders, you will still do a lot of mistakes and you will do fine, right? So we want to avoid these blunders. We want to have a basic understanding and first be better than most of the other players out there. And then what we do next is start working on these exploits, okay? And these exploits usually, as you suggested, no, not in the HUD, observation, right? Take notes from what hands do you see? Because you might see those players on final tables again. Watch final table replays on YouTube. And then population reads. Population reads are probably the most accurate ones. In the first scenario, is there a threshold for the shorty that means we actually can gamble more? Like if cutoff has 3 BB, again, we can extrapolate it further. We can and then give him 5 big blinds, 3 big blinds, right? And really try to find where's the threshold. And that's the homework you need to do, right? This is something additionally where you start gaining that extra edge to be really, really sharp. Okay, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to go through the ones that are the most valuable ones. Does IC? Yeah, we final table, final two table, we're in the money, we have near money bubble, yes. So if the other stacks are closer to you, you own a much bigger portion of the prize pool. So some of you might be into trading or crypto, see it as you simply own more stocks, more equity, which leads to you risking more. But if there's another big stack and he has 90 big blinds and you're 16 big blinds and there's an 8 big blind shorty and someone shoves 20 big blinds into you, your stock is so little, even though there's a short stack, you're going to be like, vamos, call king 9 off, cheers. All right. So remember, with the other big stack present, you can call it 16% versus 66, right? That was the other stacks, even though the short stack and you had the same stack distribution. And if we change this to this like 70-80% shoving range, which is very realistic, you probably end up calling 20-25%. So remember, when there are big stacks present, you own less equity of the prize pool, thus you can lose less. Thus, you can gamble more. But please take the word gamble carefully. I don't want to get to see hand histories. Ben, you told me to gamble more, and I called with king 4 off. All right. And some of you at the very beginning of your journey, and you need to chill the fuck out because it will take some time. ICM final table is very complex, but good news is most players on micro stakes, low stakes have no fucking clue. Like literally, they have never touched an ICM solver. So if you go ahead and start practicing a little bit, you're already 1 step ahead. And the next week, you're 2 steps ahead, and so on and so forth. All right. It's with every profession. The people that put in more time and study smart, work smart, are simply going to get an edge. So the thing is, now, since we haven't covered mid stack, we also covered kind of like what's supposed to do as a big stack. Because now you got to learn that in a lot of these scenarios, you're actually not supposed to push any 2. You're not even supposed to VPIP any 2. So when they limp, here, we see it here, right? Typical scenario. You're not supposed to VPIP any 2. And a lot of players are either shoving, or if they have 7 deuce off, they raise. So what you can do is raise their limps a lot wider. If they raise to 2 and 2.5 big blinds, you 3-bet the shit out of them to 5 or 6 big blinds. And that is the scenario where he's actually supposed to be quite loose. Same here, right? Don't you think that most players will be VPIPing close to any 2? I've seen a lot of the replays where per default, a lot of regulars have this habit, oh, he's second in chips, I will apply pressure, and you see way more raise folding or limping. Especially here, they're not going to have king, queen, king, jack suited and deuce. They just open jam, ace-8 suited. So it will even make their raising and limping range weaker. So even better to attack, right? So many exploits and additional information we can gain where we can punish our opponents. So yeah, a lot of these big stack scenarios, you're supposed to push quite tight and not even VPIPing. VPIPing means either limping or racing. So all the money you're voluntarily putting into the pot. So now we move to 9-handed. Okay, I struggle a lot when I'm ICM, someone opens to 2 big blinds and I've got a premium hand. Sometimes I check GTO and it's just a call, or times it's a 3, but other it's a shove. I have serious problems with it. Hey, listen, man, I understand that. And this is exactly the problem a lot of players have, Daniel, that they just see sometimes I 3-bet, sometimes I'm supposed to call. Like it's a frequency play. I don't want to say it, but I think that this is poker study brainwashing. So what you want to learn is in which circumstances is to call better and which circumstances to push better. If your opponent is very bluffy and very aggressive post-flop, then you want to just reshove. If your opponent is weak, passive, perhaps he's also not open raising as much as he's supposed to, look into your opponent's opening range. And then maybe the call is better because now you get to realize your equity better. You're not going to be bluffed off your hand post-flop so often. You could just call and then you take them to the streets. But against aggressive opponents, you want to be reshoving, all right? And maybe there's someone who's super tight, and you look at the GTO open raising range, and he's supposed to open raise 27% from MP, even under ICM pressure, and you think he's probably only opening 17%. well, then you should better fold your king 10 off. Yeah. And very often when it shows you frequency plays, it's just a sign that every option is kind of the same and we just mix it for board coverage reasons or do a frequency mix. Okay. What if they overfold? Would you open any two? Yeah, absolutely. Good question, Alex. That's the adjustment you make. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be looking into the bigger stacks having a significant advantage and when the other stacks are rather close. So prepare two spots here. And first one, we're going to be looking to this scenario. So obviously ace king is a call, but what would you guys call here? What would you guys call it? Pocket eights and better. Listen, and I want you to, now it's time to practice. What have you learned from the four-handed scenario? The same principles apply here as well. Don't just look at the short stacks. I'm giving a hint here. Look at the other stacks, right? He's pushing 45% of hands. King 10, sevens. All right, a lot of people are way too tight here. We call 20%. So we see here, that's the shoving range, as you can see, garbage. And we call 20%. So even with a 3 big blind, 8.5 big blind shorty, the problem are not these stacks. The problem is that the other stacks are so far away. What happens? What happens? Explain it with the same words as I did for four-handed. And now we're making progress. Now you start, oh, wait a minute. That makes sense. I want to see it. I over-adjust for the shorter stacks. Exactly. And you're not adjusting for these other 4 stacks or 5 stacks or 6 stacks. What happens here? What are your stocks in this? Higher the mid stacks, we call looser. Exactly. Big stack present, we gamble more. Hey, here we go. Here we go. All right, we're making progress. All right. And that's also, by the way, an IC impaired. Some of you probably own it and have not watched the videos that I attached to a lot of these spots where I explain you why we want to do certain things. And that's why so many of you that do it are starting to crush ICM. Now with more even stacks, we gamble. All right, and now we're gonna rush it really, really hard. All right. So what we do next, so we call it, sorry. No, fuck. I teased it. But it's not about the result, all right? So now, remember here, 54, 43, 34, 44. Now we change it to 17, 25, 21, 22. Same short stacks, same hour stack. This guy still has 34 bigs. What's happening now? And now suddenly we have 400, 500 people in this freaking webinar that in less than 20, 30 minutes of going through these spots have made so much progress that probably you have not made progress in months, maybe some of you in years. Now we tighten up, we call tighter. Suddenly so many ICM wizards here. What happened? What happened? We gamble less. Why? Yes, exactly. Stacks more worth, gamble less. Here we go. All right, I'm done. I can retire. We killed poker. I say, yes, yes, fucking hell. Such a difficult spot. But we didn't do this by going through these same spots over and over again. We solved this spot from like some four-handed spots. All right, that's how you extrapolate. So now we push a 74 and we only call 16. So remember here, we push 45, we call 20. Now we push a 74, we call 16. Thanks, goodbye. So let's wrap it up. And I want to bring it back to now we know we have learned a lot of stuff. And I want you to also make sure it's permanent. Okay? A lot of you guys tilt. Imagine now, not just this spot, more spots, and you keep doing this for weeks. Imagine I would have these sessions with you once or twice a week, and 1 month you would be on a different level. And you would be winning. But you would also not be tilted. How the fuck can you tilt if you know what you're doing? And we talked about this earlier. When you know how much you know and how much you can exploit, how many adjustments you can make, You don't care about this bad beat with 40 big blinds, you're down to 20. You still have so many things you can do. All right. And remember the small 3-betting, small 4-betting we have covered in all these ICM scenarios and ICM paired in those videos. You're literally, you have so many weapons in your arsenal, but subconsciously, you know, you suck. And the combination of solver understanding and the theoretical understanding, but logic, being able to apply it and execute and exploit, that's unbeatable. So as we've seen here, how we can extrapolate it from 400 to 900, just based on a few situations. We learned so much more also about playing as a big stack. All right. Learn new exploits for playing a mid stack. Because now we know, all right, as a big stack, oh, damn it, we're not supposed to be that loose, right? I've seen many of you, wow, I would jam any two. I would be raising any two, yeah, sure, right? So now you know what you're supposed to do as a mid stack. Because as a mid stack, you're supposed to get a walk 70, 80, 90% of the time. That's your money. That's what you're supposed to entitle to. And what you're supposed to do is, when these motherfuckers keep playing any two cards against you, you need to fight back. And that means that instead of calling 15 or 20%, you're supposed to call 25 or even 30% of your hands against all in. And you're supposed to 3-bet with 9-3 off, and you're supposed to ISO raise this 5-deuce off. But you're not doing it, and then you keep losing money, and they exploit you, and you wonder why you can't win tournaments. We have one example here. And I could show you, if I would sit down now tomorrow, the day after, and the next day, I would probably have another 5-hour webinar where I would show you exactly why you're not winning as many tournaments as you want. And you keep blaming the variance. No, sorry to disappoint you. So find patterns, as we just did. I explained this also in the Tournament Masterclass, the 360 analysis. What I'm doing here is I'm approaching it from so many different angles and perspectives. All right. I changed the other stacks. I changed my stack, the other stack. I changed the pushing ranges. So that helps me. I just need to analyze one spot, changing the variables, and I solve the game, solving the game, right? We're never really solving the game, but you know what I mean. And then you can take notes, concrete exploits. Pretty sure that's also a homework for you today. What have you learned today? Remember, when to gamble, when not to gamble. What about the illustration with the stocks? So if I'm a mid stack with X amount big blinds in situation ABC, then I will do X, Y, Z. If I'm a mid stack with certain big blinds in situation DEF, then I will do MNO. And that's how you start building up your own library. And then keep a list of new learnings and exploits. All right. Final practice for these ICM spots. What would you call here? What would be a calling range? Now pay attention. We're now 2, 4, 6, 700. Right? You learned so much for 400. You learned so much for 900. Now, what do we do here? How much do we call? We have a 15 big blind. We're calling for a 20 big blind stack. MNO, I'm just taking random letters. There's nothing to say. What's the calling range here? 22, 20. Suddenly, so many, let's say, somewhat more accurate answers. I wonder why. I should probably also give you the solution. 18. I mean, you guys pushed a little too far, but this is what happens, right? Obviously, now you're overhyped and you're up 20, 25, right? But it's a lot better. Earlier, some of you guys would guess 5%, 10s plus, ace queen plus. Ridiculous guesses. Now we tune it back, and you can see you start getting closer. You start getting closer, yeah? Calling 25%, it's probably, honestly, exploitatively, not a bad call. Because for sure, people are shoving more than 40%. Like, for sure, most recs jam any offsuited king, any suited hand, and a lot of these middling connecting hands. And then you can call a lot wider. 21, 21, 22. Yeah, a lot of players are very, very, very close, 18. I mean, some of you were like 35, 40. That's a little bit too much. So this is something I bring up every single webinar because it's so important. Why exploits in the first place? To bring back the balance between GTO, theory, and exploits. Right? What you need to understand, GTO always assumes a perfect play, a perfect opponent, a bot, not a bet, a bot. And so what people believe is, oh, we're somewhere here, like we're playing 70, 75% GTO. No, we're not. We suck so badly at multi-way. We suck so badly at river spots in general. Like most of the good recs are not even close to what they're supposed to with all these different bet sizings. Don't even get me started for ICM multi-way pre-flop, ICM post-flop. It's ridiculous. And ICM, I saw this question earlier. Hey, Ben, when does ICM kick in? Usually, and you know it from ICM paired with all these different spot scenarios we're prepared, around 66%, there's already some light ICM impact. You see differences in ranges with like 75% of the field left, but usually then 50% left of the field, which is still far away from the money. The ICM actually becomes quite reasonable. Where you start playing completely different with big stack versus big stack. Your 80 big blind stack versus another 80 big blind stack, 50% left. If you play chip EV, you're going to be doing a lot of mistakes. So in reality, we might only be playing 10% of what is GTO, 11 or 12%. So there's a massive opportunities to skyrocket your win rate. All right. How do most study? Well, yeah, 80% solver solutions, frequency plays, being balanced, GTO studying, randomizing. It's very high variance because, again, it's like so difficult to improve your GTO game when there's so many opponents that do freaking amount of mistakes. It's high variance, busting too often, risking tournament live in stupid bluff catcher spots, missing tons of bluffing opportunities, missing enormous amount of value bet spots in order to be balanced, to balance their checking ranges, to block bet their strong hands to be balanced, to induce races and bullshit. It's often marginal winners, and it takes gigantic efforts to also learn GTO for very little winnings, right? I'm not saying it's bad. You will improve, but if you mix in exploitative poker and you focus 80% of your time on reviewing, discussing adjustments, learning exploits, you learn basic GTO, of course, focus on crushing your opponents, and you simplify, like we did today, right? We simplify the theory, we try to find better patterns. You have someone that helps you to understand the why. That's how you understand the theory, and that's how you make progress. Because if I come tomorrow and I ask you, hey, John, why this 400 scenario, even though there's a short stack, why do we call so loose with our 15 big blinds? I don't understand. You would be able to explain someone. You're like, yeah, makes sense, right? And it's rinse and repeat, right? Yeah, again, basic solver solutions, it's okay. Like some GTO studying is fine. But the ratio for some of the players, it's insane, all right? Obviously, some of you are new. I know we have a lot of people here today. Is this guy legend? Listen, I've been going through this shit, this pain of like 60,000 games, break even. I've done it. You know, I know what it means. There's kind of like break even grind, and you know, you're up, you make your first 50 grand, 100 grand, where I think a lot of you guys, and then back down. Back in the days, rakeback was better, so I was fine, but that was not my goal. It's quite frustrating to dedicate so much time and be a break even player. But then I started also changing some things, and that's where I also started winning. And it is a lot of variance. You see going up and down, and sometimes it went up quite a bit. And now it's a bit more of like a break-even stretch. But I've done this now for 10 years. It looks a bit like the Bitcoin chart to me, to be honest. So now the mystery is revealed. Who invented Bitcoin, eh? So what I want you to do is do your research, join our Discord, ask for feedback, engage with our community, and start learning, start becoming better. EVBB, don't focus on EVBB. It's so skewed from PKOs and ICM spots. I know a lot of people that have a high EVBB, very little winnings. My EVBB rates were always quite low, to be honest, but I always had good ROIs. So smoking is bad, right? So why do you keep smoking? Eating junk is bad, so why do you eat junk? You know you're beaten, so why do you call? You know you should rejam J10 suited, why do you shit your pants? 50% of being a winning player is strategy, and 50% is mindset. And a lot of it comes from your limiting beliefs. And this is the responsibility up to you to figure that out. Now, what we're going to be doing now, and I promise you, I hope, let me know in the chat box, in the question box, that already felt, hey, it was worth the time. It was worth the time. Yes, I've learned something. Not just learn, I understand. I finally understand. I will be able to make better decisions in some of these scenarios next time and hopefully play final tables. Yes, let's go. Happy to see that. Okay, and I promise you, it will get even better. So now let's tackle your limiting beliefs and unleash the beast. All right, we did have, listen, there's so much more to do when it comes to strategy. All right, it's just to give you a glimpse into what is possible. So I said this earlier, I know the pain, and that's why I can relate to it. Remember at the beginning, I told you about the extremes, right? And this is my way of teaching, my way of playing. I try to identify the spots where you have to be extremely tight, zero bluffs, pre-flop and post-flop, and then spots where you want to be extremely aggressive. 3-bet any 2 cards if you think it's a good spot. Bluffing all your non-short on value hands, right? Identifying them. Saying left and right, left and right. Sometimes we have to be in the middle because we don't have reads. But that should be how that's how it's supposed to be. Think about so many scenarios in casinos where you have a dude, he's just sitting there, he's a drink. Do you want to fucking bluff this guy? No, you're gonna have 0 bluffs when the money goes in the middle. If you sit there, oh, but my solver told me that I should turn my blocker into a bluff, you're a fucking idiot, sorry. So, and these extreme is where you make a lot of money. Grinding in the middle, solid, yes, solid win rate, and then to push it even further. Now, what happens though is very often a lot of you guys know you shouldn't be bluffing. You know your instincts are not telling you, I should probably not bluff this guy, but the solver, I've seen I should do some of these bluff, boom. Because you're telling yourself, I don't want to check it back, it would look stupid. Or if you, let's say, have a good bluffing opportunity, or when you play against this gambler and he calls you down with anything, he's like, I shouldn't be bluffing, but I'm all in, and he snaps you over 3rd pair. Again, you know, you want to make your limiting beliefs holding you back. You just want to do what's comfortable, what's solver approved, to not look stupid in front of yourself, to not hate yourself for like an unconventional play, right? And your limiting beliefs keep pushing you right back to your break-even zone, the friend zone of poker, so to say. But I have to call down, right? I can't fold this on the river. Like I have top pair, top kicker. I can't call this anymore. And this guy plays 1 hand per hour. He check raises you on the flop. He bets turn, bets river. He's telling you he has a better hand, but the solver tells you I have to call. All right, boom, lost a lot of money. But if I fold, it would look stupid. And I would ask myself, I'm curious. I'm too curious. I'm too curious. Also limiting belief. So you can't go in these directions. A, because you don't have the knowledge. And B, the confidence, the mental control, however you want to call it. You're too afraid because it goes wrong, you might look stupid, and it will go wrong. Got to accept that. It will go wrong. But remember, we play a game of odds. What matters is the long term. So a lot of you guys rely on setups and your favors, perhaps simply to get lucky, right? And that's why these bad beats feel so brutal, because you really need to win those all-ins, right? It's really, you need those setups. And that's frustrating. And you're very attached to it. It's very emotionally charged. And if you lose them, it feels devastating. So, but if you know what to do, not even to perfection, just having a decent understanding of ICM, you will be better than 99% of your opponents, period. So you will also be more patient because you know so many spots to exploit your opponents. I think a lot of you also tilt. Agree with me or not? If you remember those situations when you have 80, 90 big blinds, you have a really big stack going onto the final table, and then one of the first few hands, you lose a big pound, you're down to 20 big blinds. A lot of you guys and just, fucking hell, now I have a big stack for once, and again, I'm so unlucky. Why can it not be easy, where I just play a big stack, bully everyone, the cards are my favor? What do? You also blast off your 20 big blinds, and you never realize that comeback equity, which is very likely. But if you have the confidence to also know, hey, I can reshove very wide against the big stack. I know what to do. I'm supposed to 3-bet. If you understand the value of your stack and you know the trust in your abilities, you wouldn't do that. But again, remember earlier when we go through that frame, number 3, what part is on you? Now the part is on you that you simply struggle with finding good exploits and adjustments to 15 or 20 big blinds. Right? And you portray it on the outside. Everyone else is to be blamed but you, and you are not taking that responsibility. So, and then you finally understand to skip marginal spots because you learn more and more and more, and you truly understand it. Like we did today. I think a lot of you guys had this aha moment, and that will help you also with your tilt. You don't tilt folding 7 deuce offsuit from under the gun because you know it's the right play. So, I want to also emphasize on this. Some of you might have already seen it. What happens with this solver bullshit, and how there's also an opportunity, because a lot of players that have been crushing and now just doing all this solver stuff kind of like pulls them back to being a break-even player. And it's the same over and over again. You know, of course, you got to start grinding those ICM sims. You practice countless scenarios. Obviously, ICM paired. That's why we build it. Get the real-time feedback and understand the why. I don't care what it is, even if you study with upswing poker and if that helps you, man, like I'm so happy for you, seriously. And coaching, videos, friends, but having someone that helps you to understand, to identify patterns so you can finally understand it and you rinse and repeat that. Yeah, also, some people are asking, Ben, how do I make adjustments? Look at all those big final tables. Instead of watching dumb Twitch streams and TikTok videos, take 30 minutes a day, watch some YouTube Poker Stars or GG Poker final table replays. There you will see a lot of the stuff, what's going on. And you see that there are 3-4 players being dead money. They're too scared or too aggressive. Your EV is insane. And this is something, remember this from earlier, you might have seen it. Here, this is exactly what we want. And I'm so happy to see this. This is fueled. All the concepts that I've studied before suddenly clicked in a weird way. And that click, I hope some of you had today when we're going through some of these spots and now being able to navigate 9, 4-handed, even we had this 7-handed scenario and extrapolate. And if I would provide you more scenarios, you would be able to get closer and closer and closer what you're supposed to call. So I want to just share a quick example with you. So you know, common scenario, you have 2 slightly winning players, 10% ROI, you have 2 crushers, 30% ROI, 3 losing players, and a break-even player. Now, what you need to understand is, just because you grind all the GTO stuff, it doesn't necessarily make you a super crusher. In fact, what happens, you have been doing a lot of great exploits. And now these exploits might have made you a lot of money. But some of these players traded now for GTO plays, which cost going down from, maybe it was, they were printing like 100% ROI in this spot. And now following the GTO instructions, they're being pulled down to 0% ROI. Obviously, they might have learned more fundamentals, but usually you get fundamentally more sound. It's not like you're making crazy exploits. But tournament poker is very bad. You have a lot of very bad players. So what happens to a lot of these players here, let's say this guy, for example, with a 30% ROI, or this guy, he drops to 10% ROI because he's just trading so many great exploits he used to make, being GTO brainwashed, and then starts making call-downs and dumb bluffs that make no sense, but are solver approved. So maybe he increases his GTO game for a few percentage, but he loses 10 or 20% because exploits is what makes you the most money. If someone is in poker, we only make money if people are making mistakes. And the better you utilize these mistakes, the more money you make. That's how the game works. So he started winning less, making the table softer, exploiting less, trying to play too much GTO, and not going for the 6 exploits he used to, especially versus Rex. So what happens? That win rate needs to go somewhere. And if someone else starts stepping it up and getting better, he will benefit that he will lose more money against, especially against the recreationals, or the recreationals start losing less. Because suddenly he starts paying them off more often. Maybe it's like a nit fish or aggro fish and he bluffs too much, whatever it is. So, okay, now we get into something practical and I've been working on for a long time and I'm super excited to share this today. So let me know, do you recognize yourself? Do you ever wonder how to stop tilting? Where do you make the most money in poker? What about variance in poker? How can I become a pro poker player? How to become don't swings? How to become pro? Already we had this. Where do I make the most money in poker? We also had this. What do I need to study? But a lot of the questions are repetitive, right? How do I convince my parents to play poker? Dating in poker? When and how should I take breaks? A lot of the life struggles we have as a poker player. How do I make long-lasting changes, improvements? How can I finally break through and at least manage my tilt so I can continue playing my A game? How can I fix my bad habits and so on and so forth? I think we all recognize, I recognize myself in a lot of these questions. Stop drinking. Yeah, Oliver. Yeah, it's obviously, stop drinking alcohol. Yeah, better sleep. So what I've been, now you can make a decision. Again, I promise you, you will regret leaving now and not staying until the end. So I've been working on something for the last couple of months that I want to show you today. And it's called Unleash the Champ, Break Your Limits. The intention is to finally let free what you have within. It's a brand new poker mindset and lifestyle course, covering all your pain points and limiting beliefs. Secrets to a strong mindset. We're breaking down the most typical behaviors holding you back from succeeding. We've put together a lot of different videos that will help you to identify what is the shit that is holding you back. how you can become a poker pro, obviously. And a lot of you guys want to get into this journey, and this course is designed to cover everything before you start, help you to identify what you're supposed to study, what you should put your focus on. And we have different areas, unbreakable laws, to give you concrete instruction. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So you have a framework, you get clear instructions, what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. We have dealing with bad habits, obviously overcoming your tilt, dealing with anger, overcoming downswings, managing your bankroll, and what to study. And on top of that, advice for young players, crushing poker. That's a super valuable section where we break it down. Where does your money come from? What spots are important? How to like really find good value bets, and what it's going to accomplish. Identify why you tilt. We did this at the beginning with the framework. Remember, even though you know you shouldn't be punting it off, you're still doing it. Why? You're bluffing in spots where you know your opponent is very likely not folding. But just saw it. Someone said, yeah, I have a problem with, I could still win the pot. You know that probably 90% of the time you're not going to be winning the pot, but this hope of 10% or 5% makes you the stupid play. And this is wrong. We're not hoping in poker. We're making decisions based on long-term profitability. That's tilting. You're having certain bullshit reasons why you still could win the pot, has nothing to do with that, unless it's obviously mathematically profitable. We're going to dive deep why some players are winning and others are not winning, how to maintain a strong bankroll management, controlling your actions without suppressing your emotions. You see me on stream, I'm still pissed, I'm swearing in German, but I will not tilt. There's a difference. I'm not acting upon my feelings. Working more focused, higher levels of discipline. You remember my video, why the average person can't win in poker. If you cannot concentrate, you cannot focus, we are going to be tackling this. Become an exploitative machine because you finally know where you make the most money in poker. I'm super excited about this. We're going to be tackling your tilt. And remember, the more complex, the more overwhelming, the more often we tilt. I don't know what to do, I tilt. Again, you don't tilt folding 6-3 off suited from middle position. Uncertainty is the friend for tilt. Not knowing what to do is one contributing factor of tilt. And this is one of my biggest agendas, insanity on how many of you are wasting time on studying spots that don't matter. And if you want to get into studying more poker, please be very mindful that studying doesn't equal progress, right? Yeah, learn from my mistakes. I've done a lot, and yeah, being alone. Community, doing this together and improving further as a poker pro, and perfectly prepared. I've assembled hundreds of questions over the last couple of years, and whatever basic question I have, whatever you need, you just go through it and you're perfectly prepared. Listen, I've spent, I think, over 100 grand on self-improvement, coaches, mentors, and you can benefit from it. You don't need to figure this out on your own. Don't overcomplicate things and recreate the wheel. Our community and myself have proven results, and I'm going to give it to you with that course. No more time and money wasting for try and error. So there's the mindset section, all the topics we covered, your anger problems, your tilt issues, bankroll variance, easily worth $1,700. We have the crushing poker section, which is designed to increase your win rate, whether it's starting at minus 20% ROI, going up to break even, and the only way to crush a poker, the way that I know for sure, right? And then next to some bonus modules, we also have enroll coming in. We have a partnership with Prime Mind, and he will help with his videos to make it permanent. So how can you make sure? So a lot of you guys, you start a new diet, it goes well for a week, and then boom, back, right? You start with good habits, maybe it is a week or two, but then boom, back to bullshit, back to old habits. What do we need to do to make it permanent so you can start building that consistent, start winning consistently, all right? And to be honest, The value, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you know what this guy is charging, I pay for a couple of sessions, I think almost 5 digits. I'm very happy that he said, yes, let's do it. We have a very good relationship, and I know that he's helping you a lot. So what we did, we spent 8 months of going through all the thousands of hours of content, podcasts, tip videos that I made, just put the pieces together that are the most valuable, structured them, recorded new exclusive content for you, like making a list, okay, what's going to helping you the most. And we have the GOAT, enroll himself, sharing valuable insights exclusively for you. He hasn't shared it somewhere else. He's just been recording it. But obviously, we're not going to charge $3,500. Usually, you know, for courses, $600, $700, $800, $900, we could easily charge. It's worth the price. Usually, when we want to say it's $797, during the webinar, $499 is what we offer. But for you guys, $149. $149 for a course that's worth $3,000-$4,000. And we've been working months on that. You know the amount of podcasts we have, the amount of content, going through it, finding the clips, putting together. We are here at the team. We were recording new content for you guys as well, getting A8 on board. But you know what? You know what? I made a promise. I made a promise. I know you guys already where to send the money. Take from my, listen, guys. I know some of you don't have the means. Some of you want to get better. And some pretty rough times for a lot of people. Economy is getting worse and worse and worse. Obviously, we want to make money as well. I have something later for you, but we decided we're going to give it to you for free. There's going to be a link. I will share that with you at the end, or we send it to email. You don't even need to register. It's going to be on the Raise Your Edge page. You have access to it. You can send it to your friends whenever he has a poker question, how to get a pro, how to make pros money. You send them this link. Here, you motherfucker. You can watch it all. All right. Yeah, you don't need to know. I'm not bluffing. I mean, the Unchained Mindset course goes a lot deeper. Like, this is a course I would never release for free. That's a good addition, right? This will help you. This will help you. Listen, I'm not making false promises. You're not going to get a millionaire with it, but it will help you to overcome some of your problems. It will help you to become a calmer, more relaxed person. And a course like Unchained is just there to get that extra edge. If you really want to become pro, and obviously I'm sharing a lot of the stuff that I'm helping you to not just go on to mid stakes, but also crush high stakes, to become like a trying to compete on a very high level. Yeah. You guys are insane. Obviously, I have more. There's so much more today. And I obviously also have something for you guys that want to invest in themselves. We're also making big changes on Raise Your Edge. So yeah. And at the end, I have more for you. Okay, that's not everything. Yeah, and even having a draw for something for free. Okay, cool. I'm very excited to share that with you. It's gonna help a lot of people. But okay, so all I'm asking you is share that with your friends. All right, even if there might not be poker pros, we put a lot of work into this, and we want to lead by example. I'm giving you something now for free. I know some of you guys simply don't have the means right now, but you might be in a situation where you need some help, you need a little push, and I hope I can lift you up and get some shit done now. There's no more excuse, and we want to lead by example. All right, there are no excuses. You can kickstart your career with us. We're a very small bankroll. We have a free poker course now. We have a free mindset, and we also call it lifestyle poker course, right? Unleash the champ, no more limits. And obviously, the more you invest, the faster you will succeed. So again, I have one more surprise for you. Actually, two more, I would say. But you have to stay until the end, obviously, right? Hard work will be rewarded. You're not going to receive it via email, and you will have 30 minutes to redeem it. And make your first steps with us. Learn how to win long-term, invest in yourself to speed up the process. We want to provide a platform that leaves zero room for excuses. Why are we offering this for free? You might wonder, right? Yeah, convince with action, not with talk. I think it needs some sort of support in the community, and we want to show you proof how serious we take your success. Even if you spend $0 with us, you would get good content that you can trust us. And we want to provide a platform that leaves zero room for excuses. It's like, yeah, but Ben, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. It's like, no, you just don't want it bad enough. All right. Make your first step with us. Learn how to win long-term and invest in yourself to speed up the process. And when I get this feedback, Ben, your free content is better than most of the paid content out there, that's what drives me. That what drives me, because I know that's how we win in the long term. That's how we build up a lot of crushers. And very excited. We have not shared this publicly. You're the first ones to receive this, right? And I would also please not share this publicly, because I really want that the people coming here today can start today, and then in the next days or next week, I don't know, we're gonna also share it with others. I saw some of the material from 2019, 2000. My question: does the knowledge get out of date? Now, it's still the same game, buddy. The mindset, the way we stay calm and tackle things and work disciplines. You can read books from 1800 from great philosophers and great authors. It's the same. If you study Stoicism, if you study some of these books, it's the same. Nothing has changed when it comes to that. So that's literally fuel to us, right? People are saying, hey, free content is better. I mean, it's really hard to create content that is, because there's some great paid content out there, not gonna lie, but just to show you what is our goal. Listen, as I said, summer here, you want to invest in yourself, and raise your is changing. I also mentioned earlier, I might have some bad news. I might have some good news. Like for some of the news might be bad. Some of them might be actually good. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, you will see. So yeah, I asked you at the beginning, or I told you, I promise you, I will not disappoint you. I will deliver. I hope. Please let me know. Do you agree? Did I deliver today? And are you maybe getting excited? What is changing with Raise Your Edge? What we have in mind, in what direction we're going, and also making you an offer for those who want to invest in themselves. Let me know. During the webinar, I've also been sharing how Raise Your Edge is evolving and moving into our new platform, Raise Your Edge 2.0, that entails our brand new Champions Bundle, that entails Pair, Tournament Masterclass, the Bounty course, Mindset course, our Short Stack course, 6max Sit and Go Hypers, and much more. So if you're interested in the ultimate educational platform for tournament poker, then check out the links below. And now let's continue with the webinar. Here's your gift. As you know, community and like-minded people are super important in poker. So everyone joining here today in that state, and you have 30 minutes, will get access to an exclusive mentorship group that I've created for you. And this is not part of the Team C. For 30 days, everyone comes in, and we're going to have different channels that I will be setting up, questions, problems, and I want to go fucking deep. All right. And I want to show you how powerful it is and how active it is to be in an exclusive community. There's so many bullshit communities being sold out there, right? Oh, you get access to my exclusive WhatsApp group. I say you the newest shit and my stocks here and my crypto here, and sign up for this, right? My trading group. No. All right. Again, this is not a quick fix. I want to give you a glimpse, and it's going to be a group. I'm going to be checking in daily, and I hope others are also going to see the opportunity to help others. And I want to show you what can happen if a bunch of people come together, the crowd intelligence, and get to fucking work and get amazing results. All right. So I will be personally also helping you, because we were close to 1,000 people here today, and I cannot cover all of the questions. You can ask your questions there, and I try to answer as many as possible. I thought usually in all of the webinars, I was able to answer all of the questions. We were so many today. I think we're still 750 people, which is absolutely fucking insane. All right. I'll be sending a Discord link now in chat, and that Discord link will expire in 30 minutes. Again, this has nothing to do with the Tournament Masterclass or with Raise Your Edge 2.0. This is on top. You can start today with a mindset course. Start watching, and you have the opportunity to ask further questions. Now you get the perfect opportunity guidance. And first, I was doing 90 days. I wanted to do 90 days, 3 months. But you know what? I think 1 month is more valuable because it creates more scarcity. Because you motherfuckers going to be thinking like, I can post tomorrow. I should do a week. Because I was like, fuck, I'm running out of time. I'm going to take it more serious. So 1 month, 30 days, right? I want to give you enough time also to start working with a new course. Also signing up for the Raise Your Edge 2.0 platform. But if you sign up for the Raise Your Edge 2.0 platform, listen, you get access to an internal community. I would appreciate if only those join who cannot afford signing up. Because if you join the Tournament Masterclass 2.0, or let's say if you sign up for the Crusher bundle, then you can also join, obviously, right? Because it doesn't come with an exclusive group. The timer, it will expire in 30 minutes. And if you just went to the kitchen to get your Hawaii toast from the oven and you missed it, bad luck, all right? Oh my fucking God. What the fuck is happening? Oh la la. Oh my God. Can you guys see that? All right. That's going to be a lot of work the next 30 days. Oh my fucking God. Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. What are you guys doing? Oh my God. That's insane. It means a lot to me. And it means a lot to the team. I think everyone in this team is going to be very proud. I own both TMC and paired. What about me for TMC 2.0? If you already have paired ICM, nothing is really going to change. You're basically being upgraded to a higher tier for free. You obviously can take advantage of the offer if you say, fuck it, that's awesome, right? Maybe you have 6 months left or 9 months, or you just subscribed. You obviously can then subscribe for 12 months more for that price, because we're not going to give this offer anymore, right? So then you have 24 months at the discounted price, right? Or if you have 9 months left, you get 12 months on top. You have 21 months in total, right? So, but we send out offers for expert and owners and ICM paired owners via email. So please keep a bit an eye on Discord or emails, especially emails. We send it out. Oh my God. Okay. I did not expect to. I should have thought about this earlier. So more information will be released throughout the next days. Don't worry. We're going to set you guys up. So being shy is an excuse. Seriously. I mean, you sit in front of a computer. Nobody's seeing you. Your next best buddy is one message away. And this is what can happen. Top left, Cherry Island, Scoop 2014. I won my first Scoop title for 200 grand. Look at these legends. Fedor Holz, Marcus, high stakes, I think is, what was the screen name? Why So Serious, Stefan Sontheimer, Martin Storsholm, Julian Thomas, this motherfucker. Fresh OOD, Warboss, sitting goal legend. Robert, he won a bracelet last year. All guys have been very successful. At this point, we're already grinding some low stakes, mid stakes, high stakes, but this group was already together, like at least some fraction of this group working together for years. Then I think 2016 or 17, Costa Rica, I mean, we're already quite established, right? But you see what can happen. David Yen, Rainer Kempe, Manik Löser, Elliot, insane people. I forgot his name, but he's also a German high stakes player. So isn't that awesome? And that's what I want you guys to achieve. This meeting like-minded people, building great friendships, traveling, playing the game together that we love, having support for each other in downswings. So the Champions tier, obviously also with all future updates, it's going to be the ultimate platform that has everything. You got the link in chat. And the content area, this is the link for the new platform. You don't even need to register. You get it for free on our website. Enjoy. I hope I fulfilled my promises today.